Have you ever watched your child with autism go from completely calm to completely overwhelmed in what feels like seconds? One moment, everything is fine, and the next moment, they are hitting, throwing, screaming, biting, or completely shutting down. And you are standing there trying everything you know, trying to talk them down, trying to hold them, trying to redirect them, trying to figure out what just happened and why, and nothing is working. And somewhere in the back of your exhausted mind, a voice is asking the question you are almost afraid to say out loud. Is medication the only answer? I want you to hear this clearly before we go any further. It is not, and the research backs that up completely. Because what most parents of children with autism are never told is that aggression in autism is almost never about behavior. It is about the brain. It is about the nervous system. It is about a child whose sensory experience of the world is so overwhelming, so intense, and so unrelenting that the only release valve their body knows how to use is the one that looks like aggression from the outside. And when you understand that, everything about how you respond changes. Stay with me, because what I am about to share with you is going to change everything. Welcome to Parenthood Unlocked. Today, we are going deep into one of the most misunderstood and most heartbreaking challenges that parents of children with autism face every single day: aggression. I am going to walk you through 7 proven, research-backed strategies to calm autism aggression without medication. These are not quick fixes. These are real evidence-based approaches that child neurologists, occupational therapists, and behavioral specialists use with families around the world. Let us get into it. Before we get into the 7 strategies, I need to spend a few minutes on something that most parents never get properly explained to them: why autism aggression actually happens. Because here is the truth that changes everything. Aggression in children with autism is almost never intentional. It is almost never manipulative. It is almost never your child choosing to hurt you or others. It is a neurological response to an overwhelmed nervous system, and understanding that at a deep level is the foundation of everything that actually works. Here is what is happening inside your child's brain during an aggressive episode. The human brain has what neuroscientists call a threat detection system, centered in a small almond-shaped region called the amygdala. The amygdala's job is to scan the environment constantly for anything that feels dangerous and to trigger an immediate survival response when it detects a threat. In neurotypical brains, the amygdala works alongside the prefrontal cortex, which is the rational thinking part of the brain. When the amygdala detects something threatening, the prefrontal cortex steps in and says, "Wait, let me evaluate this properly before we react." But research consistently shows that in autistic brains, the amygdala is significantly more reactive, and the connection between the amygdala and the prefrontal cortex is less regulated. What this means practically is that your child's brain is detecting threats in the environment that you cannot even perceive: a flickering light, a certain texture, a sound frequency that feels like physical pain to them, a change in routine that their brain registers as genuinely dangerous, the feeling of being touched unexpectedly. These are not small annoyances to your child's nervous system. They are full-scale threat signals. And when the amygdala fires a full-scale threat signal, the body responds with a full-scale survival response: fight, flight, or freeze. What looks like aggression from the outside is your child's nervous system in full survival mode. Dr. Stephen Porges, whose polyvagal theory has revolutionized our understanding of the nervous system, explains that a body in survival mode cannot access empathy, reasoning, or communication. The higher brain functions literally go offline, and the primitive survival brain takes over completely. This is why talking to your child during an aggressive episode does not work. This is why reasoning with them does not work. This is why consequences do not work in the moment. Because the part of their brain that can hear you, understand you, and respond to you is temporarily offline. What your child needs in that moment is not correction. It is nervous system regulation. Research published in the journal Autism Research found that sensory processing differences are present in up to 90% of autistic individuals, and sensory overload is one of the most common and most under-identified triggers of autism aggression. Dr. Lucy Jane Miller, a leading sensory processing researcher at the University of Colorado, found that when autistic children experience sensory overload, their cortisol levels spike dramatically and remain elevated for significantly longer than in neurotypical children. This means your child is not just overwhelmed in the moment of aggression. They may have been building toward that moment for hours. The aggression you see is the end of a long, invisible process of accumulating stress that finally exceeded what their nervous system could contain. Understanding this changes everything about how you approach prevention, because the most powerful intervention for autism aggression is not what you do during the episode. It is what you do in the hours before it. Strategy 1. Build a sensory diet into every single day. The term sensory diet was developed by occupational therapist Patricia Wilberger, and it has become one of the most evidence-based and widely used approaches in autism support around the world. A sensory diet is not about food. It is a personalized daily schedule of specific sensory activities that keep your child's nervous system regulated and calm throughout the day, so that it never reaches the point of explosive overflow. Think of your child's nervous system like a pressure cooker. Every sensory input they experience throughout the day, whether it is noise, light, touch, movement, or social demands, adds pressure to that cooker. When the pressure builds beyond what the system can contain, it explodes. A sensory diet releases that pressure in controlled, safe ways throughout the day before it ever reaches the explosion point. Sensory diet activities that research show are most effective for nervous system regulation in autistic children include heavy work activities, like carrying groceries, pushing a weighted cart, doing wall push-ups, or wearing a weighted vest. These activities activate the proprioceptive system, which is the body's internal pressure sensing system, and have a deeply calming effect on the nervous system. They also include vestibular input, like swinging, rocking, bouncing on a trampoline, or spinning in a safe chair. A study published in the American Journal of Occupational Therapy found that children with autism who received a structured daily sensory diet showed a statistically significant reduction in aggressive behaviors compared to control groups within just 8 weeks. A mother I know whose 7-year-old son had aggressive episodes almost daily started implementing a simple sensory diet. Within 6 weeks, his aggressive episodes reduced by more than 60%. Not because his autism changed, but because his nervous system finally had what it needed to stay regulated. Strategy 2. Identify and eliminate sensory triggers before they escalate. Every child with autism has a unique sensory profile. Research from the Autism Research Institute shows that the most common sensory triggers for autism aggression include unexpected loud sounds, certain textures in clothing or food, fluorescent lighting, strong smells, unexpected physical touch, crowded environments, and transitions between activities, especially when they happen without warning. The tool that child behavior specialists use to identify triggers is called an ABC chart: antecedent, behavior, consequence. Every time an aggressive episode happens, you record what happened immediately before it, what the behavior looked like, and what happened immediately after. Over 2 to 3 weeks of consistent recording patterns emerge, and those patterns reveal your child's specific triggers with remarkable clarity. Your child is not making up their sensory experience. They are not being dramatic. What feels unbearable to them is genuinely unbearable to their nervous system. And every time you take that seriously and act on it, you are telling your child something they desperately need to hear. I see you, I believe you, and I am going to help you. Strategy 3. Master the art of co-regulation before expecting self-regulation. Co-regulation means that one regulated nervous system helps regulate another nervous system, and it happens not through words or instructions, but through the biological signals we send through our voice tone, our body posture, our facial expressions, our breathing rate, and our physical proximity. Dr. Stephen Porges, whose polyvagal theory has revolutionized our understanding of the nervous system, explains that a human nervous system is constantly scanning the environment for signals of safety or danger in the people around us. When your child's nervous system is in threat mode, it is scanning everything around them for signals of whether the environment is safe or dangerous. And if the most important person in their world is tense, stressed, or dysregulated themselves, their nervous system reads that as confirmation that the situation is genuinely dangerous, which makes the aggression worse, not better. This is why the single most powerful thing you can do during your child's aggressive episode is regulate yourself first, before you try to regulate them. Take a slow, deep breath. Drop your shoulders. Lower your voice to a calm, steady tone. Slow your movements. Get low and small rather than tall and looming. A study conducted at the University of Washington found that parents who received training in co-regulation techniques reported a statistically significant reduction in the duration and intensity of their child's aggressive episodes within 12 weeks. Not because their child changed, because they changed. Strategy 4. Create a regulation sanctuary in your home. Research from the Starr Institute for Sensory Processing Disorder found that children with sensory processing differences who have access to a designated calming space show significantly lower rates of aggressive behavior than those who do not. The regulation sanctuary needs to have low lighting, a comfortable enclosed space, access to your child's specific sensory comfort items, and be completely free of demands. And critically, it needs to be introduced to your child during calm times, not during aggressive episodes. One family I know converted a small closet into their son's regulation sanctuary. They lined it with soft fabric, added a small LED light strip he could control himself, put his weighted blanket inside, and hung noise-canceling headphones on a hook by the door. Within 2 weeks, he was going there himself when he felt overwhelmed. Before the aggression happened, his nervous system had found its own exit ramp, and he had learned to use it. Strategy 5. Use proactive visual communication. Research from the Journal of Applied Behavior Analysis found that a significant proportion of aggressive episodes in autistic children are directly triggered by uncertainty and unexpected change. Visual schedules, visual timers, visual warnings before transitions, and visual choice boards give your child's brain the predictability it needs to stay out of threat mode. A study from Vanderbilt University found that autistic children who used comprehensive visual communication systems showed a 47% reduction in aggressive behaviors over a 16-week period. 47%. From visual schedules and timers. That is the power of giving a nervous system the predictability it desperately needs. Strategy 6. Teach and practice functional communication alternatives. Every behavior communicates something, and aggression is almost always communicating something that your child does not yet have another way to say. I am overwhelmed. I need this to stop. I need help. I am scared.
A landmark meta-analysis published in the journal Research and Development Disorders reviewed 42 separate studies on functional communication training in autistic individuals and found that it produced significant reductions in aggressive behavior across all age groups and all levels of verbal ability. A mother whose 9-year-old son had been using aggression to escape overwhelming situations for years worked with a speech therapist to teach him a simple phrase, "I need a break." Within 3 months, his aggressive escape behaviors had reduced by more than 70%. He had found his voice, and his voice worked. Strategy 7. Build a consistent post-episode repair and connection routine. A study published in the Journal of Child Psychology and Psychiatry found that the quality of the parent-child relationship following challenging behavior episodes is one of the strongest predictors of long-term behavioral improvement in autistic children. The post-episode period is not the time for consequences or discussions about what went wrong. This is the time for quiet reconnection. Sit near them without demands.
Offer their comfort object. Use a warm, calm voice. And say something that addresses the shame their nervous system may be carrying. I love you. That was really hard. You are okay now. We are okay. Those words do something neurologically powerful in the aftermath of a threat response. They tell the nervous system that the relationship is safe, that the connection is intact, that the storm did not destroy anything. Do not try to implement all 7 strategies at once. Start with just one. If your child has aggressive episodes that seem to come out of nowhere, start with strategy 2 and spend 1 week tracking every episode using the ABC chart. If your child's aggression seems to happen most during transitions, start with strategy 5 and create one simple visual schedule for your child's morning routine. If you notice your child's aggression builds throughout the day, start with strategy 1 and talk to your child's occupational therapist about a sensory diet. And if you find yourself escalating during episodes, start with strategy 3 and practice box breathing every morning for 5 minutes. 4 counts in, 4 counts hold, 4 counts out, 4 counts hold. Because you are not just managing behavior, you are helping a child whose brain experiences the world more intensely than most people can imagine learn to feel safe in a world that was not designed for the way their nervous system works. Drop a comment below and tell me which of these 7 strategies you are going to try first, or tell me what has already worked for your family that other parents in this community need to hear. I read every single one, and your experience matters here. Not just to me, but to every other parent who is going to read your comment and feel less alone because of it. If this video gave you something real to hold on to today, please hit the like button right now. Subscribe to Parenthood Unlocked if you haven't already, because every single week I am here, going deep into the real science of child development and translating it into honest, practical support for real parents. And go and watch our video on how to decode your child's secret language through their actions, because understanding what your child is communicating through their behavior is the foundation of everything we talked about today. Link is in the description right below this one. Your child is not giving you a hard time. They are having a hard time. And every single strategy you implement, every moment of patience you offer, every time you regulate yourself so you can help regulate them, every time you show up after the storm with love and warmth and connection, you are doing something that no medication can replicate. You are healing the nervous system through relationship, and that is the most powerful intervention science has ever found. You are doing an extraordinary thing every single day. I will see you in the next one.